so much better than Hugo Gonzalez, in my
I
opinion.
well, I'm gonna turn you on Hugo. I really am because I'm gonna tell you what. I agree with you. I was in the exact same shoes, but let's get right into it. With the 28th pick in the NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select Hugo Gonzalez. I was not a big fan of this at all, as you see the 28th pick. Hugo, height 6'6", from Spain, and at age 19. Now, this next one, Daniel, this next one that I'm going to pull up for you is what might make you turn on Hugo. All right. So this is his stats from last year. Average 5.2 points per game, 44.4 field goal percentage, 2.5 rebounds per game, and 0.9 assists per game. Now, this is the thing where I like at the bottom. He was projected to go 26th in the NBA draft to the Brooklyn Nets. That's where he was projected to go. So we technically, if you look at it, we got him from a steal. And this is the last quote I'm going to bring up, and then we'll talk about Hugo a little bit. Hugo is a fiery competitor. He has a track record of winning. Okay? So you look at that track record of winning, fiery competitor, and he was projected to go 26. Now, obviously, Daniel, you don't see him as you look at him and you look from the get go. All right, can't bring a lot on the scoring side of the ball. However, incredible defender. I watched a lot of his film. He's a guy who he's not very great on the offensive side of the ball. However, he's only 19 years old. He could develop Maine into an offensive threat. However, on the defensive side of the ball, he's a aggressive, nitty player who's going to attack the ball. He really gives me vibes. Remember that play of Marcus Smart when he dives out on the court, grabs a ball, and starts screaming? That's the player that Hugo Gonzalez reminds me of. And you look at what that quote again. I'm going to bring that up. Hugo is a fiery competitor. He has a track record of winning. He said this in their interview with Brad Stevens. I'm hearing that he said he doesn't care what his role on the team is if it's just a fact of winning. And my biggest player comparison is a Jaden Springer. I feel like he's the type of player that, if you put him out for 4 minutes, he's going to go in there. And obviously, you guys will see the Celtics Nation Rise MVP go down every once in a while. But Jaden Springer is on there with one of them. And he went out there, had like 4 steals against the Clippers in like 8 minutes and stuff like that. That's a player that Hugo Gonzalez reminds me of. So I don't know if Daniel, did I kind of convince you a little bit? Because I will admit, I agree. I feel like with the 28th pick, we should have got Ryan Cockbrenner. We should have got McNeely right there. We should have got someone else. But I am turning the door on Hugo. Again, I'm going to pull this one up. He was projected to go 26th in the NBA draft. So you look at that, and we got him at 28th. That, in my book, is kind of a steal. So I was upset about that. I talked to Seamus yesterday, and I was like, hey, if we didn't get him there, where do you think he would have went? And he said low 30s. So this is a guy who still, I feel like, would have been high on people's draft boards. And I'm not mad about the pick now. Have you turned the corner on Hugo? What are your thoughts, though? Have I convinced you a little bit? Because I tell you what, I wasn't in your shoes at all. And what about the people at home? Have I changed your mindset on him? Because I was a guy who, when he got drafted by the Celtics, we were all shocked. And I was like, what? But what are your thoughts now, Daniel? Do you like that kind of competitiveness from Hugo?
Yeah, you've changed my mind a little bit, definitely. Now I'm gonna watch some tape and see how he impacts the game defensively. But you mentioned Marcus Smart, and that's a big shoe to fill when we talk about defense and like just hard and putting it all on the floor. I think Holiday had some of that defensively, but
Yeah.
not not the same as Smart. Like Smart was just a different player when it comes to like leaving it all on the court. And now that you mentioned Smart in the conversation, I think that says a little bit more about Gonzalez. And now I'm gonna change my mind just a little bit about him and just give him a chance to prove himself.
Yeah, totally. Because I feel like that this is the player. He's young. He's 19. They could develop him in Maine for the scoring aspect at least. But defensively, he's a threat, and he's a guy who I see him blocking shots and he's aggressive and gets hype. I mean, you see with the 28th pick, he's screaming right there. He's into it, So I
I
will.
think is he going to be a two-way player? Like, oh, are we going to make him
No,
like
I
uh,
believe
or not?
I don't believe so. I
Okay,
feel like the only two-way players are Mari Williams, Miles Norris, and Max Shugla. I think his
Shulga,
name Shuga.
Shulga, yeah, Shulga,
Shulga.
yeah.
Shulga. Yeah, Shulga. I think those are the three two-way players. So I don't know if Hugo will be, but he will play in Maine. Regardless, they could put him in Maine. He might be a two-way player. I was Baylor a two-way player last year.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, so then Hugo will be too. Then Hugo
Yeah,
will be too. But yeah, Hugo will probably be a two-way player then, and he'll get a lot of time in Maine. Obviously, he might get a lot of run with the Celtics, this being a bridge year, but he could develop in Maine. And Daniel, you and I are gonna have to get an interview with Hugo Gonzalez when he comes to Maine.
I
Uh,
like that.
that's gonna be a
I
fun
like it a
one.
lot.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm like, geez, I'm excited for that interview, and I'm excited to hear what he could bring to the Celtics, especially from a defensive perspective, because he's a guy again, like I already said, leaving it all on the court. I feel like he's a guy that's gonna leave it all on the court. He's gonna go out there aggressive. He's gonna bring a lot on the defensive side of the ball. So that's a player I like to see